Yeah, there have always been fans in this room.
That's kind of like those been funny. Maybe because the lights weren't on, Jake.
No, the lights are usually on
Usually
too.
on? Hardly that
Morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So let's just get right into it. So we can tuck our thumbs into our fingers and put our hands back down our side and take a few moments to bring our awareness to treasure. And in the microcosmic context, we have our bodies and our breath and our mind. And another way to think of the three treasures, we've talked about it before, but it's been a little while, is to think about the Jing as our substance, which includes the body, the physical stuff, but just seems like it's a little bit broader to me, that word, just substance. And we can think about the breath as movement. The movement of breath, movement of our blood through our arteries, movement of subtle energies, even the movement of our thoughts. And we can think of Shen as our interest. So just directing your interest into your substance, getting interested in the quality of our substance. What things feel like. In Western physiology, there is a lot of interest in quantity of things. You know, how much of this, how much of that, what's your blood pressure levels, what are your cholesterol levels, what are your glucose levels? And in Chinese physiology, there's interest in the quality of things. So what's the quality of your body, of your substance, of the stuff that constitutes who and what you are? And what's the quality of movement within that substance? Fast, slow, is it easy, is it hard? Just being interested in those things, noticing those things. And it's amazing how just by being interested and noticing, the quality can shift. ready, you can bring your hands together. We can massage our hands together. Continuing to breathe. Generating some warmth in our palms. And then we can take a nice deep breath in. And exhale, shake it out. And rub the palms together again. So we're going to do our self-massage today. And here in Durango, it's cold. Cold tends to congeal the fluids. It tends to send them deeper. So with our self-massage, we want to warm things up, draw things up and out so that our skin can be nourished. We don't have to be so dry and itchy due to the cold. So let's begin by massaging our faces. And you can go up and out or any other way that feels good. Maybe with the intention of drawing the fluids of your body that might be a little deeper because of the cold, drawing them up to the surface, bringing some blood and some lymph and some of the nice nourishing oils up into the skin, into the cheeks, into the nose, helping to warm and nourish the tissues. When you're ready, take a nice deep breath in and shake it out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. And then we can take our fingertips and run them over our scalps, and you can go front to back or back and forth. And again, just helping the pores of our scalp to open up and release. The cold air can cause things to get tight. Wearing lots of hats all the time, everything can just get a little kind of flattened out. So it's like we're just kind of fluffing up our scalps, fluffing up our heads. Allowing a little bit of release and discharge. And so many acupoints on the scalp that are so useful for helping the sinuses and the ears and the eyes and the places that can tend to give us some trouble this time of year. So get into it, take your time. Feel what things feel like. Feel the areas that need some extra support. Feel the effects of what you're doing. And when you're ready, deep breath in, shaking it out, and rubbing the palms together. Breathing. Now we can take our palms and cup them over our eyes. Some gentle pressure to our eye sockets. Maybe letting the warmth of our palms be absorbed into our eyebrows, the bony areas of our eye sockets that might be affected by the cold. And again, deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together, breathing. Noticing the quality of your substance, quality of your movement, quality of your interest. And then we'll take the base of the left hand in between the eyebrows to the acupointian tone and draw the hand across and off to the side. Same thing with the other hand, just alternating side to side. Feeling the temperature of the skin of your hand against your forehead. Make a task switch with your hand that you're using currently. You can take a deep breath in and shake it out, rubbing the palms together. And then we'll take the edge of the thumbs to either side of the nose and massage from the base of the nose up to the bridge of the nose and the inner corners of the eyebrows. And you can go fast, you can go slow, you can hang out over a particular area. A deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together. Inviting warmth, heat, chi into the hands. Just invite it in. See what happens. That helps the hands warm up a little more. Yi Dao, Qi Dao. Where the mind goes, the Qi goes. See if you can direct your Qi with your mind. Use the force. Then we can take our thumb to either side of our mouth, one hand below, one hand above, and we'll massage back and forth, massaging the lips and the gums, generating a bunch of saliva, swallowing that saliva down. Helping to nourish our digestive system. Deep breath in. Palms together and breathing. Noticing how the breath moves the body. And then we can take our palms and make forward circles over our ears. And a deep breath in. Bring the palms together. We'll do our self-shoulder massage now, beginning with the left arm to the right shoulder. Letting gravity do most of the work. With cold weather, our shoulders can get tight as we brace against the cold, so we can help to unwind and undo some of that tension. Right side. A deep breath in. Get going with that one. You can just do that all day. Notice the alignment of your body and breathe through your whole body. Notice how the breath moves through your body. And then let's take our right hands into a little beak. Find the bottom of the left collarbone and slide out just under the collarbone into the hollow space, and then drop down about an inch, rolling over a little muscle into another hollow space. And then we'll take the left fingertips to the bottom of the right rib cage and just follow the rib cage down until you drop into a little hollow space right on the edge of the ribs, and then we can tap both of those spots. And feel free to make small circles as you tap, seeing if you can find a place that has a distinct sensation. And if you do, you can hone in on that spot. And breathe into the space in between these two spots. Notice the quality of sensation in between these 2 points. Does it feel full? Does it feel empty? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? It can feel like a lot of other things as well. Just notice. You can massage these two spots when you're ready. And let's change sides. So left fingertips under the right collarbone, sliding out into the hollow space just under the collarbone, and then dropping down into another hollow space. Right fingertips to the base of the rib cage, follow the rib cage down until you drop into a hollow space, and then tap two spots. Make small circles. Feel the area. Maybe you'll find some spots that feel very distinct, and you can hang out there, noticing the quality of sensation in these two spots, as well as the space in between these two spots. When you're ready, you can massage these two places. Spending a little extra time with these places feels pretty good. We can take a nice deep breath in and shake it out. Rub our palms together. Generating some good chi in our hand. Some heat, some warmth, some intention, some awareness. Invite the chi into the hands so that then we can take our hand and direct that chi to our bellies and our abdomens. And like we did last time, maybe taking a little time over each organ and acknowledging each organ, expressing some gratitude. So if you're over the right lower rib cage area, you're over the area of the liver and the gallbladder, and you can think about your liver and your gallbladder and acknowledge your liver and gallbladder and thank them, expressing some gratitude for all they do. You can even come up to the center of the sternum over the area of the heart. And even just saying to yourself or out loud, like, thank you, heart, for beating every moment of every day, non-stop. Thanks for doing that. It'd be tough if that wasn't happening. You can even come up a little bit higher, under the collarbones, thinking of the lungs, maybe taking a breath into the back of your rib cage. Yeah, thank you, lungs. Clearing out a little bit of phlegm. Breathing for us. And then we can come back down to the left lower rib cage area, the area of the spleen and the stomach and the pancreas, and thank you, digestive organs. Digesting all of these insane foods we eat. Then we can come over the belly and thinking about our small intestine right around the belly button. We can expand the radius of the circle to include the large intestine. As we come down low over the pubic bone, we can think about our urinary bladder, our reproductive organs. Thank you for doing what you do without needing to be told how to do it. And then you can bring your hands around your waist to your lower back and the area of the kidneys, the adrenal glands, and the kidneys not only helping to regulate water metabolism in the body, but really regulating our endocrine system, our hormones. Thank you, kidneys. You have to deal with a lot of stress. And still, you're doing what you do to the best of your abilities. And then when you're ready, you can draw your hands out, shake them out, rub the palms together and breathe. Breathing into all of the organs. And then let's massage our arms, beginning with the left arm, a little tap to the fingertips, up the outside, down the inside. Going at whatever speed you'd like to go. Just feel what it feels like. Does it feel good? Could it feel even better? Just be interested. Notice, explore. Warming up our body, allowing the fluids to get dispersed, to become less thick and congealed. Like warming up the car in the morning so that the oil spread around. We'll go up one more time and then down, changing sides, up the outside, down the inside. So facilitating the circulation of blood and lymph, facilitating the movement of qi, whether that's the physical manifestations of qi like blood and lymph, whether that's the subtler manifestations of qi like nervous system, tissue, electricity, or even just subtler movements of energy. That stuff that is the template for our physical being. Up one more time and then down. Big breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. And then we can bring our feet out in front of us. Then you can use your thumbs to massage the soft part of the bottom of the feet. You can use your fingers to work in between the long bones on the top of the feet. You can pinch and squeeze and massage the edge of your foot that's facing up towards you. And remember, there is a map of the whole body on your foot. So find any areas that feel a little tender, a little something, maybe even just feel really good. And spend some extra time on those spots that reveal themselves to you. Maybe they feel painful, maybe they feel like dull. Just, again, explore. Get interested. What does the bottom of your foot feel like? All these different places. There are things that we can do to benefit the functioning of our bodies and our minds. And they are available to us all the time. We just need to do them. So like massaging the bottom of your feet in earnest, finding the areas that, again, just feel like something, giving some extra attention to those spots. And then notice what happens, even in that moment as you're doing it. Might be a little flash of like, I feel good. This feels good. This feels right. And then when you're ready, you can draw your hands from your feet up the inside of the legs, around the hips, down the outside. Going with the flow, using however much or however little pressure you'd like. And again, what does it feel like? Does it feel good? Could it feel better? Try things. And let's come up one more time, and then around and down and out. Big breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together. And then you can return to a comfortable seated position, tucking the thumbs back into the fingers, letting the hands rest on the thighs. Noticing the quality of your substance. Noticing the quality of movement within and through your substance. Notice the quality and the direction of your interest. then whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Questions about anything? Hey, does anyone feel any warmer? Great. All right. So we are currently in the middle of the third phase of winter. And it's funny because the last phase was called minor snow, and we had a little minor snow. And this phase is called major snow, and we just had a major snow. So I just love it when it happens like that. Yeah, and also the fourth phase of any season we've talked about is either the equinox or the solstice. So the fourth phase is coming up. That's the winter solstice. So what does that mean? It means that this phase, this time of year, is the darkest time of the year. Because the winter solstice, like once we hit that, then the sun starts to come back up. You know, the days start to get a little bit longer every bit. So right now we're in the deepest, darkest part of the year. That's why it's called major snow. You know, and you know, back long ago, before our modern conveniences, like the season of winter was associated with this cold, deep, dark time where resources were scarce. And this is one of the reasons why the emotion associated with winter is fear. And one of the things about fear, you know, if it's overpowering and just causes us to freeze up and shut down, that's not necessarily good. But fear does cause us to kind of slow down a little bit, take a moment, kind of assess the situation, not act so rashly. And so, you know, there's a certain wisdom that comes from fear that can be expressed as maybe a little bit of thoughtfulness, maybe a little bit of caution before taking an action. You know, when we can relax into that aspect of cautiousness, it can be patience. And so there's this virtue of patience that can be born out of a little bit of fear. And so, you know, we also think about the winter associated with the water element, which is associated with the kidneys. In Chinese physiology, the spirit of the kidneys is the will. So we think about this will to survive, this will to persevere, to make it through the winter. But at the same time, if our will isn't tempered by a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of caution, we might just charge right ahead thoughtlessly into something and not make it through the winter. You know, it's funny, I was reflecting on this with someone else not too long ago, that saying, you know, fools die young. Long ago, that was true, right? Like there was a lot of infectious diseases, there was a lot of things that could kill you pretty easily. I mean, even if you were, you know, fell out of a tree and broke a leg, you know, 100 years ago, that could be death for you. Whereas nowadays, like, no problem. You know, it's like we have all of these medical conveniences. I don't think it's true so much that fools die young. A lot of fools live a really long time nowadays, you know, and so that's something to think about, is that our medical technology has given us this gift of a long life, but our consciousness technology hasn't necessarily caught up with that, you know, by and large, when we think about the whole population. And so it's like, yeah, we live longer. And so what does that mean? It means we need to be able to manage resources in a better way. We need to be able to live amongst more people in a more cooperative, cohesive type of way. But we're really struggling with that because we have these, you know, consciousnesses that were probably designed to live maybe 30, 40 years. Now we're all living much longer than that. So, you know, again, allow this time of year that kind of forces us as much as it can, you know, in the face of all of these technologies and conveniences that we have. This time of year forces us to slow down a little bit and to be a little bit reflective and to maybe say, okay, I have this will or this want, but, you know, is that what I should be doing? Is that what's most helpful? Is this the time to take an action that I want to? Or maybe is this the time to exercise some patience. Am I very impatient with everything? Well, maybe I should work on that a little bit. You know, it's like use this information embedded in nature to help upgrade our own technology so that we can live a long life that's kind of fostered by wisdom as opposed to foolishness. Just because we can be foolish doesn't mean we need to be or that we should be. So that's a little bit about that and this time of year. Yeah. One other thing I'd like to mention before we move on is that the next 2 weeks I will be out of town and we won't be having class the next 2 weeks. So if I can remember it or figure out how to do it, I can send out a message, maybe like a pre-message or something that goes out at a specific time just to remind everyone that there won't be class the next 2 weeks, but we'll be back the beginning of January. So unless there's anything else about that, we'll get to doing some practice, some standing practice. We've been doing some seated practice for a while already. Right. So if you'd like, you're welcome to stand. Find yourself in a comfortable standing posture. Your feet can be hips width apart, shoulder width apart, however, and it may be as we're moving along, you know, you may want to bring your feet a little closer together. You may want to move your feet further apart, and that's fine. So please feel free to do that. We don't have to like plant our feet, and then once we begin, it's like, uh-oh, can't move anymore. This is where I've decided to be. It's okay. We can be relaxed about it. So let's take a few moments just to kind of come into our alignment. And I mentioned this earlier to someone in class, but I've been doing a lot of something which is called foundation training, which has been really helpful for my lower back issues. And I find it's been really informing a lot of my Qigong practice as well. So some of the things that I'll be talking about with our cueing is inspired by some of that, or even just taken directly from it. So feel free to work with it. And but again, you know, holding everything with an open hand. So use what works for you and feel free to adjust and modify as needed. And so typically when we come through our standing alignment posture cues, we always begin with the feet, and we're going to continue with that. And one thing I'm going to suggest today, which I haven't normally suggested, is to take the outside edges of your feet and make them parallel. And when you do this, what you'll find is that it feels like you're a little pigeon-toed. And that's kind of what we're going for. You know, there's actually a way in Qigong and Tai Chi where they would come into their stances, they'd start with their feet close together, and then they'd open their toes out, duck-footed, and then they'd move their heels out wider than their toes. And this was like the martial arts stance. And so this is essentially what we're doing here by finding the outside edges of the feet being parallel. So again, it's just a very subtle internal rotation of the hips. And the knees may feel like they want to move towards each other, so we don't want to let them collapse in. We want to have nice, strong, rooted contact with our feet. So the same 3 points of contact that we always make. You can lift your toes, you can find your big toe mound, you can find your heel bone, and you can find the outside edges of your feet, just as we always do, but maybe with the outside edges of the feet being parallel towards each other, which you might find creates a little more engagement through the pelvis, through the hips, maybe even through the legs a little bit. There's a little more activity going on there. You might even be able to push into those outside edges of your feet a little bit easier to find this nice, sturdy, stable ground in between your legs and underneath the bottom of your feet. And so as the feet are lined up, the knees will naturally unlock just a little bit. You can let them bend even a little bit more if you'd like. Just going deeper than you think you need to, and then coming out of that slightly so we're not locking the knees. The knees are unlocked, we're engaged. And again, continually tuning back in to your feet and how they're making contact with the ground. And like we've been talking about for a while now, allowing a little bit more of your weight to be in your heels rather than in the balls of the feet. So letting the weight settle into the sacrum, into the backside of the hips. Let your weight kind of sink into your sacrum so that the weight sinks down into your heels, through your heels to the ground. So weighted heels, weighted sacrum, which allows everything to just lengthen and expand down through the back of the body. And as you're finding this sinking from the lower half of the body, then we can think about rising up through the upper part of the body. So the chest can lift and rise slightly. We can think about the sides of the ribs and the back of the rib cage just being full, filling up almost like a hot air balloon, filling up so that the pelvis is like the basket underneath the hot air balloon, just hanging. And there's this weight that's dropping down, and again, very slightly upwards. And then the rib cage, the balloon of the rib cage is lifting and very slightly forwards. So we're having this counterbalancing of the upper and the lower, of yin moving down, of yang floating up. And then as we're floating up, if we're coming upwards through the chin, just think about a little tuck to the chin so that the back of the head and the neck is nice and long, and we can lift up out through the top of the head, rising upwards and very slightly forwards, sinking down and very slightly backwards, and feeling that expansion in both directions, lengthening up. So as we breathe in, we can feel really long, getting very long, getting very wide. And as you exhale, rather than letting all of that collapse back into itself, see if you can maintain that length as you exhale. And when you do that, maintaining the length when you exhale, you'll feel the abdomen and the sides of the abdomen engaged. This is what we talk about as the lower dantian. This is what we talk about as the core. This is what we're saying when we say engage the lower dantian, engage the core. It's keeping that length and that width that we can find on a nice big inhalation. Maintain that as you exhale. And all of this gets toned up. All of this allows you to remain counterbalanced against gravity. And so just taking a couple breaths in this very active but static posture. And again, with the outside edges of the feet slightly parallel, it's like you can almost be pressing into those outside edges of the feet, like you're trying to spread the ground in between your feet, so that there's a lot of activity that's happening through the hips, through the outside edges of the legs, even through the inside aspects of the thighs. And so there's a lot going on here, and it can be hard to maintain consistently, which is fine. You can even kind of back off of some of the intensity or the exertion a little bit, but we want to know what it feels like so that we can find it. Even if we're finding 30% of this, or we're finding 70% of this. It's about maintaining the awareness, not losing the thread, because we're going to start moving, and certain movements are going to require that we soften aspects of it. But we don't want to lose it entirely. So let's do some movement. Let your palms come back to back, and then inhale your arms up. Exhale out and around. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. One more. As you exhale this time, let your hands come around and your middle fingers and ring fingers point at your belly button. So the middle fingers and ring fingers pointed at the belly button. The arms don't have to be so far out in front of you. They can be, maybe 8 inches out in front of the belly, so the arms can hang down by the sides. Not forward, just relax, hanging here. And again, weighted in the heels, in the sacrum. There's weightlessness in the thumbs and the forefingers. Just breathing into this shape and allowing this roundedness of the arms to help us kind of have this 360-degree breath. So fill this whole area that's in between your arms and your body. Let it go from the back of the rib cage all the way to the palms. Fill that whole area with breath, even out to the elbows, going wide, moving backwards, moving forwards, 360 degrees of breath on the inhale, and then you can exhale and just work with that. It may not be easy to feel the breath move into all of that space, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be work. It's supposed to be gong. That's what gong means. Qi, breath. Gong, work. We're working here. We're learning. We're cultivating. We never really had to learn how to breathe. We just were born and we're doing it. So it's useful to practice breathing. Notice where the weight is in your feet. If you're shifting forward into the balls of your feet, maybe bend your knees just a little bit. Let your weight sink into your heels and into your sacrum. Maybe press out into the outside edges of your feet. Engage your legs. Let your leg be like a tree trunk. And then as you're ready, turn your palms towards the ground, and on your next inhale, inhale and press down through the palms, stretch, reach up through the top of your head, and then exhale. On the inhale, open the arms out, inhaling, reach the arms back behind you. And on the exhale, send your hips back. Let your weight be in your heels. The hands can sweep down. Let your hips sink. And then the arms can float out in front. And when your weight feels like it's more in your heels, then press your heels to come up. And then exhale. Let's do that again. Inhale, press down through the hands. Reach up from the top of the head, tuck the chin. Exhale. Hands float up to the chest. Palms face out. Inhale. Arms out and around. And then exhale. Send the hips back. Weight in the heels. Arms sweep down. The knees can bend so the hips drop. And then the arms just naturally reach out in front. You can stay low like a low squat. until it feels like your weight is in your heels, your low back is stable, and then press through your heels to come up. And then exhale. One more time like that. Big breath in, press down, stretch. Exhale. Palms out, inhale, open. Lead with the hips. Push the hips back behind you. Weight is in the heels, the arms sweep down, your knees can bend. The arms float out in front. You're in a low squat, and then press through the heels to come up. And then exhale. Place the palms or face the palms down, a big inhale, stretch. And then exhale, hands float up, knees can bend, and we'll move like this a couple times. So just breathing on the inhale, stretch through your fingers, flex through your wrists, get big and relax. Soft knees. So on the inhale, stretching through the wrists, stretch through the fingers, stretching through the shoulders, press down and relax. Full body strong stretch. Fill yourself up like a balloon, get totally full, then release. So this is like amplification and discharge. We inhale, charge everything up, engage as many muscles as you can, take up all of the slack out of everywhere, and then release. 2 more. Last one, inhale, flexing through the wrists, stretching through the fingers, bring the chin out all the way to the extremities, and relax. Breathing naturally as the hands return to the level of the lower dantian. Bring the hands on either side of the hips. The elbows are facing back behind you. And then as you're ready, we lead with the hips, bend the hips back, and let the arms reach forward. Reach the hips further back, and then counterbalancing with the hands, reaching in both directions. Your knees can be very bent. And then pressing through your heels, let yourself come back up, stand. And we can work with the breath here. So inhale the hips back. Inhale, reaching the arms away from the hips. And then exhale. Inhale. Lead with your hips. The hips are moving away. The hands are reaching away from the hips and then pressing the heels to come back up. Again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Weight in the heels. Reach through your sacrum. Reach away with your hands and then exhale. 2 more. Last one. As your hands come forward, let your fingers roll in and then down. Inhale the arms out. And exhale. Palms back to back. Inhale up. Exhale, the arms open. Let them remain about shoulder level. Your elbows can be nice and bent. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears. If you're up like this, see if you can drop your shoulders. Let the elbows be soft. The hands can come down as low as they need to be for your shoulders. But relax, and we're not squeezing the shoulder blades together. The chest is just open and wide. Palms facing each other, like you're holding a big ball in between your hands. And again, thinking about your feet making contact with the ground, thinking about soft knees, thinking about weight in the heel, in the sacrum, thinking about the rib cage like a hot air balloon, breathing into the sides of the rib cage, breathing the palms away from each other, spreading through the collarbones, hanging out, letting the challenge build, feeling the heat happen. Remember to breathe. The nature of evolution is increasing levels of intensity and complexity. This is where we're going in the world, in the universe, in our personal development, in our collective development. It's more intense. It's more complex. What happens when it gets challenging? Do we want to bail? Can you breathe? Increasing our capacity to deal with intensity and complexity. There's a word for that. It's called hormesis. We can introduce some movement here. So on the inhale, press the back of the palms away, stretch. And then exhale, relax. The hands can move towards each other. And then inhale. And exhale. And you can do this effortlessly almost, or we can draw upon Charles Atlas and use some dynamic tension. So as you inhale, as if there was magnets in between your hands that you're trying to pull apart from each other, using some effort. And on the exhale, like you're trying to push two magnets that don't want to get closer towards each other. So engage your muscles. Inhaling, stretching, pulling through the fingers, the wrists, the arms, the shoulders, and then exhale, pressing. Engaging the muscles. Like you can build strength with no weights, with no machines, with just some effort and intention of your mind. You can bring the hand closer together, like you're holding a small ball in between the palms. Breathe. Give yourself a little rest after some exertion. And then we can take this ball, and again, pointing it back at the lower dantian, middle fingers and ring fingers, pointed at the lower dantian. Arms don't have to be too far away, hanging right by our side. Weight in the heels, weight in the sacrum, lifting through the chest, little tuck to the chin so the back of the neck is nice and long. Finding length, breathing, length and width into the body. And as you exhale, seeing if you can maintain all of that length and width that you gained on your inhalation, which will engage the lower dantian. Teaching our body how to counteract gravity. Rather than being weighted and pulled down into dust, we can rise and lift up and remain energy. On your next inhale, inhale the hands forward. And then exhale, let the hands float around back behind you and see if you can point your fingertips to the back side of the lower dantian. The chin may want to come up to make space for your shoulders, or make space in the front of your chest so that you can get your hands further back. So if that's happening, tuck the chin, lengthen the back of the neck, maybe bend the knees even a little more. If you bend the knees and you pitch forward, let your weight settle back into your heel. Maybe even sticking the butt out just a little bit. Still lifting through the top of the head and the long back of the neck. Take a big breath here. See what that feels like. Where are the areas that feel tight, that feel challenged? Can we bring space and length into those areas? Can you maintain that length and that stretch on the exhale? On your next inhale, let the hands float up through the lower back and come to the sides of the rib cage. So the middle fingers and ring fingers are pointing to the sides of the rib cage, the area of the spleen and the liver. The elbows aren't pointing back behind us, they're pointing out to the side. See if you can lengthen your elbows. Find the wall to your left and the wall to your right with your elbows. See if you can find the wall behind you with the back of your rib cage and your breath. On your next inhale and lifting up off of the heel. And then exhale. Hand forward. Big breath in. Exhale, let the middle fingers and ring fingers come to the third eye, the upper dantian. And again, if the shoulders are up, see if you can relax them. Check in with your feet, where the weight is in your feet. Finding your heels, finding the outside edges of your feet, maybe even pressing into the outside edges of your feet to root in, activating the muscles of the hips, primarily the gluteus maximus and minimus, that tend to be very short and weak in most of us. And then when you're ready, take a big breath in. Exhale, opening the third eye. Inhale the hands up. Exhaling, middle fingers and ring fingers to Bai Hui, top of the head, the crown chakra. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, breathing. Seeing if you can find that length and that width in these different shapes. And then as you're ready, the hands can float down the midline, down in front of the face. And then the middle fingers and ring fingers can come to rest in front of the heart center, the middle dantian. And so again, awareness in the feet. Finding the 3 points of contact, the big toe mound, the heel, the outside edges of the feet. Allow your knees to bend slightly so that your weight can be mostly in the heel. Allowing the weight to be in the sacrum, in your pelvis. Allowing your rib cage and chest to be lifted. Allowing the chin to be slightly tucked. And as you make these adjustments, just feeling the engagement happening, feeling the muscles activate. Breathe. Create space on the inhalation. See if you can maintain space on the exhalation. Press the palms back to back. Roll the palms together. Turn the fingertips to face down. And then send the hands down to the lower dantian, folding the hands over the belly. And bring the hands on either side of the waist, and then down. Then you can relax your stance, shake it out a little bit, maybe shake it a lot a bit. Let yourself relax, let yourself breathe. Taking a moment with that to stand, to drift. So now let's just do some very gentle, very easy kind of Tai Chi as Qigong type movement. So this is the window side and this is the mirror side. That's what I'll call them. So as you're ready, you can sink your knees slightly, shift your weight into the mirror side foot, and then step out a little wider towards the windows. And then take an inhale, arms out to the side. And as you exhale, bring the mirror hand underneath the window hand like we're holding a ball. The weight is in the window foot. And then we'll inhale back to center. And exhale, window hand underneath the mirror hand. Weight is in the mirror leg. So moving like this, inhale. And then exhale, the lower hand kind of guides the weight. And then inhale, back to center. Exhale, lower hand guides us. Center and shifting. One more. Exhale, window hand underneath like we're holding a ball. So now from here, next movement, like you're throwing a frisbee with the lower hand, just kind of toss your frisbee. And then the lower hand guides the weight. And then toss a frisbee. As you toss the frisbee, the upper hand drops. And then the lower hand guides our weight. And then tossing your frisbee. And as the lower hand guides the weight, let that foot come in. And then toss the frisbee. And the lower hand brings the foot in. So this is a principle for a lot of Tai Chi movements, is that the lower hand is really kind of guiding us, it's leading the show, right? We're going to step out towards the windows, and then the lower hand tosses the frisbee, and now this mirror hand has become the lower hand, so it's going to guide us back to center, and then a small step out, and the lower hand tossing the frisbee, and then the new lower hand brings us in. Let's do that one more time, stepping out. Take your time, let the movement be a meditation. And now here, don't bring the foot in, just bring the lower hand and the weight over, and then rock back with both hands so the weight shifts back into the mirror hand, and then the lower hand drops away. And now the new lower hand in front of us comes across the front of the body, and the weight follows. And then the lower hand is going to pick up our ball, and the foot comes in. Lower hand drops away, so the upper hand starts to fall. And then we can take a small step toward the mirrors, and then the lower hand brings us across. The weight comes into the lower leg. And then with this lower hand, we pick up our ball, and the foot comes in. So you see how the lower hand is still leading everything? So the lower hand drops, and then a small step out, and we follow the lower hand. And then this lower hand picks everything up, brings it all together. And then the lower hand drops away. And we have the new lower hand in front that we follow. And then the lower hand picks up the ball. One more time. Drop the ball so the upper hand falls down, becomes the lower hand, and we follow it across. Now from here, the lower hand sweeps up in front to make an X. Now we have our mirror hand is closest to us, so it's going to start, so it will drop down to the side of the body, and then rise out to the side, and then we'll send it forward. And then the window hand drops down. The weight shifts to that side, and then we send it forward. And again, letting the momentum of the movement carry us along. Window hand drops and comes out to the side, cutting through to clarity. So follow the momentum of the arm, right? The arm that goes low brings our weight into this side and then lifts up. And we follow it forward. One more time. And then this time, let this arm sweep back around to an X. And then with the elbows, lift them up and open. And then let this mirror hand, the lower hand, come across the front of the body. And then as it rises, the upper hand drops. And then both hands come across the front of the body. And again, still thinking of the lower hand, like the upper hand is up here, it's floating across. The lower hand, we're pulling it across the body. That's what really helps to facilitate this rotation. The lower hand, like you're dragging it through water, or maybe something a little thicker than water, like honey. I sometimes think of the lower hand as like a big ice cream scoop, scooping through ice cream. Have some chi in that lower hand. And again, each one of these movements is like a meditation. We can just relax into the movement, allowing the movement to take on a momentum of its own, and allowing that momentum to then just carry us along. And we need to do an effort less and less. And the chi starts to do the practice. The next time that your hand comes in front of your face, whichever one it is, let the lower hand sweep up to cross. And then inhale, open the arms out. And exhale, send your hips back and then down, gather from the earth. Inhale, rising up. Exhale. Big breath in. Exhaling down. One more time, big breath in. Exhale. Inhale, gather up. Exhale. Inhale, gathering from the sky. And exhale. This time, inhale the arms out and up, step the feet a little closer together. And then exhale down the front of the body. The hands can come into diamond mudra, one palm folded in the other, thumbs touching. Then you can relax your arms by your sides. Just take a couple moments to rest, to breathe, to feel. And then let's rub our palms together. We can massage our face up and down a couple times. Back and forth over the top of the head. Down the back of the neck, and around, over the chest, and the lower ribs and the belly, around the waist, to the lower back. Drawing the hands out. Shake them out. Adding up one arm. And around and down. Up the other arm. And around and down. And then around and down the back of the leg. Up the front. And again, around and down. And back up. Just a little smorgasbord. And hopefully that feels okay. And if you'd like a recording of the class, let me know. I'll send you a link to the video. No class for the next 2 weeks, but class back in the beginning of January. And I'm thinking we're either going to begin the practice of 6 sounds therapy or the celestial pillar Qigong. So those are the 2 that I have on mind. So if anybody who's done them before has requests for one over the other, let me know. So 6 sounds therapy or celestial pillar Qigong. They're very different as far as their forms go and the feelings, but they're also, they're both excellent. So, yeah, if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. And that's kind of where we're going to be headed in the new year for at least a good 4 to 6 weeks or so. All right. So thank you. Any questions about anything? Okay. Well, thank you for practicing with me. All right. And any questions from the Zoomers? Okay. Well, let me know if you'd like a recording, and we'll see you all in the new year, in the future.
Okay. Yeah.